Hello everybody, it's Bill's That College Football Guy here with, yet another video. Oh my goodness, it's the ACC Snowball Series. I'm back in here because it's dark as hell out because it's early in the morning. Like early. You have those nights where you accidentally go to bed early and you wake up and wake up and you're like, damn, it's early, I need to go back to bed, and you can't sleep. I'm up for an hour already, and I'm like, damn, it's 3:30 in the morning, Central Time. Early here Friday morning. So I said, you know what, I'm up anyway. Let's just do the Snowball Series video now. The ACC Snowball Series, scenario number 6. Now, we did 1 through 5, which was the ACC going down to 10 schools. Next one is recapping some of them, a little bit of twists here, but they're going down to 12. Now, here's one thing that has changed. I always do about the fact what's happened between now and then, and I didn't say what was going to happen with the P2, what they did. I said they're going to lose schools, and people were complaining, hey, we don't know. Why don't you explain what the P2 does, and then the correlation with the ACC does? So, and then we do it that whole way here. And this is the ACC dropping to 12 schools. So, few things going on here. Now, I have been talking about the fact about a gentleman's agreement supposedly involved with Sankey and Petiti, and the SEC would go first and take 2, then the Big Ten will take 2. That's still in place. But the schools they're going to pick first has changed. SEC wants to make more media money. They do. Who doesn't? I mean, come on. Realistically, who doesn't want to make more media money? And they wanted an Oklahoma, Texas. I don't know if I said this in the last scenario, but I'm saying it again. Oklahoma and Texas video. Oklahoma and Texas style bump. And the only 4 schools that could provide that an independent council and ESPN themselves told them, there's only 4 schools that can give you the bump you want. And that's Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. 2 of those schools would have to join the SEC, and that's not happening. So the only way they're going to get more money is at a 9th game. Now, what took the SEC so long? CBS asked for 9th game when they were a part of it. ESPN's asked for 9th game. You know what they both had in common? Neither one of them wanted to pay a damn dime for the 9th game. That's like the Big Ten asking Fox for a 10th game, but they're not going to up the media deal for them, and you still got to pay the buyouts for all the games. You think Big Ten's going to agree to that? Hell no. Put the money up and we'll talk. They didn't want to put the money up. So what happened? Well, I think I said this before. Sankey did this little mirror schedule where you played Oklahoma on the road one year, and then Oklahoma played at Tennessee. You played the same conference matchups. Home and away got flipped. And so the ESPN's going like, okay, we want to see the schedule for the next 10 years. And then Sankey drops up a mirrored schedule for 5 years. It's 5 sets of mirrored schedules. And ESPN panicked because the ratings are going to suck. You want a 9th game, you're paying for it. All of a sudden, a compromise was reached. And I was trying to figure out, what the hell is the compromise going to be? What's it going to be? Well, find out a little bit. 1, media deals are not paid on your non-cons. They're paid on the conference schedule. Again, they don't pay for Ohio State, Youngstown State. They don't pay for Alabama, Furman. They pay for Ohio State, Michigan. They pay for Alabama, Auburn. They pay for the conference games because that's what draws the ratings. What also draws those ratings, those mythical 4 million view games. That draws the ratings. And coincidentally, not all the time, but most of the time, the schools that do that are the ones who average 2 million viewers more per game. So, basically, what I've learned, and this is where we're going into this, is that ESPN, for the new media deal, because the number that's being put out, that was put out a while back for the new media deal payout, isn't accurate for 2026. That amount won't be fully announced until after the 2026 season is. But basically, you can figure it out. They were saying they were going to pay, ESPN was going to pay for the 9th conference game and pay more per game for all games. The SEC wanted 2 more per game. ESPN only wanted to pay 1. an agreement was reached on 1.5, provided the SEC provides additional premium content. Okay, what the blue hell is additional premium content? 2 more schools that average 2 million more viewers per game. They also would be willing to add additional members, but they're probably going to have to be at a half share. They don't want to pay for 2 more schools at full share money who don't have the viewership to bring it in. They would have to split a share, half share each to get in the SEC. That's the wrinkle that's changed. So, basically, they're going to pay, if you want to know what it is, I didn't do the math for me because again, it's early in the damn morning. Take the SEC payout from last year, divide it by 8, round the million up to the nearest tenth of a million, make the math easy for yourself. Add 1.5 million to that number you just created, times that number by 9. That's what the SEC media deal is going to be. They're willing to bump it up an additional 5 million more. Actually, take that. I'm going to correct myself here. It's actually an additional 1.5 million more per game. It's not really 5 minutes. It goes $1 million. It would be a 3 million more per game, which is $27 million. So that may have more, another 10 million more per year for the schools, times 9 games. Well, 12 million, whatever the hell it is. If they provide 2 more premium matchups. What's 2 more premium matchups? 2 more schools that average 2 million more viewers a year. Big Ten does not want to be seen doing the kill shot, but he's on there. Sankey's like on there. Now, this is one thing I'm explaining with this snowball scenario. Again, the scenario is about what happens to the ACC and what the ACC does in response to losing schools, because even the ACC themselves know they're losing schools. So knowing that, they're going to add more schools in order to meet certain thresholds to get themselves back. Well, they're going to poach from somebody. What's their response? And they're going to lose, and so on and so on. How it goes through all of FBS. What the snowball from the ACC getting hit happened. We had the snowball when Oklahoma and Texas left. We had the snowball when USC and UCLA left. What's the snowball? The Big Ten doesn't want to act first. But they're the one whose media deal's up first. Their media deal's up in 2030, and they're trying to negotiate early. The SEC's deal's up in 2034. ESPN wants that on there and is willing to pay more per game, but they want the premium matchups as quickly as possible. Now, quickly as possible. Oh, it's going to be next year, 2029. Rumor is they're going to jump the gun and add schools from the ACC 2030 who want to jump. Now, one of the schools in question is being linked to both the SEC and the Big Ten, and that school is Florida State. Now, Florida State's ultimate goal, they would love to be in the Big Ten. They would love to be. And a lot of people said the fact is that ratings are what matters, because again, the Big Ten is in a bit of a ratings problem themselves. Let's get into that. I mean, the Big Ten has had some very noisy partners who are a little bit mad, which is going to lead to a video that's going to be happening next week that I'm actually going to be shooting here pretty soon about some other news I've heard about there, but I'm not going to give that away. No. Because somebody's going to steal my content. It seems like they always do. The media partners are upset, primarily CBS and NBC, because they're not getting that mythical 4 million viewer games because they haven't gotten any in the last couple of years. And both of them are mad about them. And NBC's got Notre Dame, so they can offset. CBS has got nothing. So they want more content. So the Big Ten's got to bring in more content. The Big Ten's got to bring in 2 million plus viewers, which is why Utah, you don't bring in 2 million plus viewers. No school in the Big 12 did. So for premium content on both aspects, Big 12 is not targeted by the Big 10 or the SEC. Big 12 is safe. They're safe. Now, so Big 12 fans, you're not going to get hit again. Not by the SEC and the Big 10, that's for sure. They're done. They got what they wanted. It's over. They can't afford to be adding teams unless ESPN wants to do a charity case or Fox wants to do a charity case. And right now, Fox, CBS, and NBC don't want to do charity cases. They want viewership. But the Big Ten has certain requirements, like the annual research budget. Everybody's saying on there, man, research don't matter. Every single one of people I've been hearing about the fact that the research budget don't matter is on the outside looking in versus on those who have contacts on the inside looking out and telling you, oh yes, research does matter. Because if research budget didn't matter, the whole remember we had the realignment with the Pac-12 schools coming in, and it was UCLA and USC and then Oregon and Washington, and the holdup was Oregon. Why hold up in Oregon? Oregon paced Washington in football. They do better ratings. Why the holdup? Why they're not going to enter in either one of them because of Oregon if they're match set? Why? Research. The research budget, the Big Ten wants schools, then in their annual research budget has over $1 billion a year in research because it's a cooperative, collective, when it comes, everybody shares research. Like who's the biggest school in the Big Ten? Penn State. Because how do you get your money? You get your money from private donations, from university investments, and most importantly, and the largest chunk, from patents you own from stuff you've created through your research. Penn State makes almost $2 billion a year. They're far and away number one. Now, they want 2 billion viewers a year. And I have heard on there, and shout out to Numbskull News, I went on his live stream and on there, and he's talking about the fact that they don't want premium content. They need premium content. You understand that a school that makes over 1.7 million viewers a game is top 10 in the Big Ten? If you're barely over 2 million viewers a game in the SEC, you're Vanderbilt, which was 12th. You have to have a metric to get in the SEC. Big Ten needs more viewership. They need schools that are at 2 million or near 2 million in viewership. They need those schools. So the Big Ten and the SEC have a different mindset. Again, why was Oregon pushed back? Getting back to that subject here. USC and UCLA over $1 billion a year. UCLA was barely over, but they're both over $1 billion a year. Okay, fine. That meets the threshold. Washington was, I think, 960 or 940 million, something like that. Just under the threshold. They're like, yeah, okay. In a few years, you're going to get over that anyway. You're literally right there. Okay. What about Oregon? Oregon, how good are you? Less than 500 million. That's why there was the pushback. And if you don't think it doesn't matter, look up what Oregon's Washington research budget is now. They got nearly a $250 million jump through private donations. They're almost $800 million, if not over it now. If that didn't matter, why is the research budget so damn high all of a sudden? Because the Big Ten requires it. You have to have a research budget to get in the Big Ten. It doesn't make sense on there, so they want a school that has good academics, that has good donors, that has good research, that has good athletics. That's asking for one hell of a lot, but this is the Big Ten. They have their criteria. They've done it. Nebraska is going to be getting their AAU soon because they reformed all of the they took everything away that was Nebraska and put all in Nebraska-Lincoln. I believe that's the main one. Forgive me if I'm wrong, and I apologize, Cornhusker fans. I apologize for that. But they did that. That is important to the Big Ten. You say, it doesn't make any sense. You're not the one making the call. Fox told them 2 million plus viewer schools. 2. Don't care which 2. Get 2. The SEC wants their 2. So, 2 million viewership schools. The Big 12 doesn't have any. How many does the ACC have? You could check from various metrics, various news organizations, various groups who match up who has 2 million, who doesn't. It's over a 3 to 5 year period. 4 schools qualify. Not necessarily in this order. I'm doing it alphabetically. Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami. Those are the 4 schools that have over the last few years averaged 2 million plus viewers. So, we're going to do the Big Ten's process of elimination here. For the Big Ten side, which 2 schools have the highest viewership, which is what the fans want? Over the past few years, Clemson and Florida State. Who has the lowest? Conversely, Georgia Tech and Miami. Process of elimination here. Who has the highest academics? Georgia Tech and Miami. Who's AAU? Georgia Tech and Miami. Who is ascending and improving year over year and is looking to be climbing up with active donors and is going up? Georgia Tech and Miami. Who's descending and relying on their past reputation? Clemson and Florida State. Let's be real here. Clemson and Florida State are relying on their past reputation. Who's got the biggest research budgets? Georgia Tech and Miami. Georgia Tech is by far ahead of everybody. They have the biggest research budget. It's really big. Yeah, I got to do the bad joke. I got to do it. I don't care. How big is it? It's so big. Georgia Tech's research budget is bigger than Clemson, Florida State, and Miami's combined. They're over, those 3 schools combined are about 1.7, 1.8 billion. Georgia Tech by themselves is 1.8, almost about to be 1.9 billion. They'd be top 4 in the Big Ten. The Big Ten leadership is drooling over Georgia Tech. Why didn't Brent Key leave? Sources I got talked to me said the fact that around Atlanta said the fact that Brent Key was told we're trying to get in the Big Ten. Why jump to a Big Ten program when you're going to be in one? We're already targeted. The only way Georgia Tech doesn't get in is if it's Notre Dame and Stanford. That's the only way. That's the only way that they don't get in is if it's Notre Dame coming in and Notre Dame wants Stanford. But right now, Notre Dame's not going to the Big Ten and probably won't ever. But. The Big Ten's going to make its move. But the problem is the Big Ten doesn't want to go first and all the other thing. And then their Petiti is on there. So ESPN wants their 2 premium matchups and they want to pay more money. But they want them soon. 2029. That's what I'm hearing. So what are they going to do? They're going to offer full share to Clemson and Florida State. They're going to beat them to it. I don't think the Big Ten is going to go after Florida State. I think they're going to take Miami. But wait a minute. Why didn't they go after Miami? Miami, Wisconsin, the whole damn lawsuit. I'm also hearing that there's those around Miami and private donors are willing to collectively cut a 9-figure check. $100+ million to the University of Wisconsin from donors as an apology. It's one hell of an apology. Can I get one of those apologies if you don't mind? I'll curse out Wisconsin if I get a 9-figure check. What do I need to do? Tell me where I got to do. Where I got to post it. Hey, I got to curse them out. I got a 9-figure check. I think there's about 4 million people in the next 30 seconds who do the same damn thing. I digress. But Miami wants in. And I think Miami's going to get in. Because Florida State's academics are so far behind and Miami's aren't. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to have Georgia Tech and Miami. So what's going to happen is Clemson and Florida State's going to get told we're not interested. Clemson's going to jump. They'll go. 2029, they're gone. They're gone. Florida State's like, well, I don't know. We can wait on that one. With Clemson gone, SEC is not taking their second school yet. They're still thinking about it. They're figuring out who to get. They just take Clemson. 1. Big Ten says, well, don't worry about it, Florida State. We're not interested. They take Georgia Tech and Miami. Now, okay, we'll go to the SEC. Georgia Tech and Miami have jumped to the Big Ten. So literally it's going to be not 2 and 2. It's going to be 1 to start the poaching. Clemson. Then the Big Ten takes their 2. Then the SEC takes their 1. That's all they do 2029, 30, 31. 2033, 2034, before the SEC media deal ends. That's when they're going to add the 2 half shares. So this is a case of 2 different sets of moves happening. But first, we're going to talk about what happens before we get into, I put the spoiler, that's going to happen. We're going to break down what happens with everybody else prior to this. I set the table, I got you teasing. I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger right here because we got to go through what happens between now and 2031 when this first stage is going to happen, when Clemson bolts and the other 2 schools and then the 2 from the Big Ten leave. What's going to happen? The Pac-12 is going to add a 9th school. We know this is coming. We just don't know if it's a full member or football only. They said it was full member. Quite honestly, Pac-12 fans, you said you were getting Memphis. You said you were getting North Texas. You said you were going to get UTSA. You said you were going to get Tulane. You said you were going to get South Florida. You said you were going to get UNLV. You said you were going to get all this stuff, and none of it happened. You said you're going to go get a full share member. That's what we're doing. You may be getting a football only. Unless you want to do the eight schools all the way to 2031. Which you still could do. You need a 9th member. I'm now hearing pushback that 2027 may not be the date. It may be 2028. For a football, it may be 2 years of this 8-school thing. I've led it to believe they're going to go in and get Louisiana. They may go and try to convince JMU. James Madison is a football only. But James Madison is, from people I've talked to, around Harrisonburg, Virginia, that's still that people I know around there, they don't like that idea because they know if the ACC Americans, the AAC, the American loses anybody, the number 1 replacement candidate is James Madison. So why would they go to the Pac-12 when they can just go to the American right up the damn road? They're not. They know they're the number 1 replacement candidate. So they're not going to go anywhere at all. They're going to stay right where they're at. So I think the Pac-12 is going to add somebody. It's going to be somebody from the Mountain West. The buyout, the lawsuits, all the other stuff going on. The fact the lawsuits aren't resolved yet. If the lawsuits were resolved and all that was done, then a school could leave and just pay the fees rather than the possibility of being added in. Which is one of the reasons why I think the Mountain West is extending this. Because nobody wants to get tagged into this crap while a lawsuit's still pending. I think that's the reason, one of the reasons Mountain West is doing it, to try to, basically as a tactic to keep UNLV, New Mexico, and a couple other schools from not moving. Got a trash truck right there across the way here picking up a dumpster. I don't know if you heard the noise. I sure as hell hear it. It's 3:30 in the blessed morning, but we have that move happening here. They're going to grab somebody to be a 9th member. Maybe 2027, maybe 2028, they're going to grab a 9th school. They're going to have 8 conference games. That's going to happen. Full share or football only, I don't know. I think it's going to be a school from the Sun Belt because they're not, I don't think they're grabbing New Mexico State. They sure as hell not grabbing Sacramento State. And for something on there for clarification for everybody, for those saying, why didn't they grab North Dakota State? They should have done that. Pac-12 Commissioner Teresa Gould did an interview with John Canzano. Not this past Christmas, Christmas before, who formally stated for the record they didn't want to add any FCS schools. They want schools with brand value with the G5. That's why I heard the fact that Toledo talked, backdoor channel through donors, talked to the Pac-12, and Toledo got told they're not a big enough brand for the Pac-12. Pac-12's waiting for North Texas, UTSA. If Tulane and South Florida want to come in, they'd love that. JMU, Memphis, UNLV, New Mexico. They're waiting. They will wait to see if those schools will come. And they may be willing to wait with 8 members the entire time. They may not expand. Waiting for that 9th member. And again, if a school is going to leave the American to join the Pac-12 or any other conference, ACC, they pay. If American school got to go to the ACC, they'll just bounce. They don't care. And the ACC probably let them do the notice anyway, because the Americans' memorandum of understanding, because they don't have a grant of rights, memorandum of understanding that they have is that if you give 27 months notice, the exit fee is $10 million. If you give less than 27 months, the exit fee is $25 million. So if a school is going to be in the Pac-12, for the purpose of this video, if a school is going to be in the Pac-12 July 1st, 2028, they have to give notice April 1st, but really March 31st this year. And they'll do the notice March 31st, the day before, not the day of, just in case it takes a clerical error and it's one day to take to process it. Just in case, because you don't want any hang-ups or hookup problems at this point. You don't know. Because, hey, the departing 5 schools, their technical date was give notice on June 1st. They gave notice in May. Why? A day early, just in case there's clerical problems. Absolutely taking no chances. So, I expect the same thing. So a school for the American, we'll find out by March 31st this year if a school for the American is going to bolt. If none do, we'll know. But I think it's going to be probably a school from the Sun Belt. If it's a Western in the Sun Belt, they're rating, the Pac-12 rates the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt is territorial as hell. Sun Belt's the only conference right now in Division I that still has divisions. And in Division I, and the G5 it still has divisions. FBS, I should say. Element and FBS still has divisions. It's West schools and it's East schools. If the West loses a West school, they want a Western school to replace it. And the East loses an Eastern school to replace it, and they're territorial. They don't want a West school in the East. It's nuts. They don't want any Western schools moving to the East. They don't want that. It's nuts. So I had to do this based upon which side of the bracket they're at. If an Eastern school, the Pac-12 would be interested in, JMU, Appy State, Coastal Carolina, those would be probably the 3. An Eastern school would be the replacement. And the number 1 candidate, I thought, would be Miami of Ohio and Ohio. No. If it's JMU, the number 1 candidate's Liberty. And right now, I'm hearing all of a sudden Liberty is starting to get more traction. I'm like, well, Liberty's a private school. They didn't want this to happen. Why? Why all of a sudden the change in pace? Liberty basketball is good. And Sunbelt basketball, I hate to tell you guys, is trash in comparison to everybody else. That's why do you think they're looking head over heels about Miami of Ohio? Because Miami of Ohio is undefeated right now. Sunbelt basketball is not that good. And they need basketball schools to improve it. They're looking for schools that are good in football and basketball. Miami, Ohio fits that bill. They still may be a candidate to go over. So is Liberty. Those are the Eastern schools. If a school from the East gets taken by the Pac-12, those are the 2 replacement candidates. Possibly maybe Ohio. The Bobcats. Maybe. 3 schools. Out West, 3 candidates. If a Western school is the one who's taken. Number 1 candidate right now, I thought at one point it was former Sunbelt school, now Conference USA school, Western Kentucky. But there is still a big stigma. How the hell do I put this? Big problem with them having, we don't want to have schools that were once here before. We don't want to take traders back or something. It's another territorial, egotistical BS. Y'all got to get over yourselves. So Western Kentucky is technically on the list, but they're not exactly looked upon because they're a former school. Stupid, I know. So that makes the top 2 candidates the lowest on the list. Yes, they're on the list, only because of the fact they want to get back into Texas, and that's Sam Houston State. And Sam Houston State's ultimate goal, I think, is to be in the Sun Belt. The rumors are they go if the Sun Belt's not interested in them, then yeah, they'd probably go Mountain West. But eventually, they want to be in the Sun Belt. Because if you think about it, Sam Houston State's north of Houston, Houston is right near Louisiana, which has 3 schools in the Sun Belt in it, so travel wouldn't be a problem. But they're not the ideal candidate. Who's the number one replacement candidate if a Western school is the one that goes? Jacksonville State, who has basically been in the Conference USA championship game damn near every year since they've been there. Jacksonville State and Troy, a team that's been in practically every Sun Belt championship game for the last few years, having divisional matchups every year. Ooh, that'd be damn good games, wouldn't it? They're the number one candidate for a Western school for replacement. So, just to say that. The Mountain West, I had talked about in previous videos about them possibly adding North Dakota State. Well, they did, so that adds that. The shoe to drop FCS-wise. We have Sacramento State making the move. Before 2031, while all these moves happening, is Sacramento State going to get kicked out of the MAC? No. Sac State will be there the entire run. I don't see them getting kicked because of all the money that MAC is getting. Now, do I think they're going to have a relationship and get in 2032 when the MAC deal expires? Because their deal ends in 2027. They want a 5-year extension. That's 2032. What's that going to look like? Because ESPN is pushing them for maybe they ought to do a 5-year extension. And I'm going, this is rumor and innuendo. They're pushing them for a 5-year extension. I'm like, why? And I'm like, oh. Let's see. The Mountain West deal will be up in 2032. The MAC media deal will be up in 2032. And the Americans media deal would be up in 2032. A little bit of shuffling could happen right then, couldn't it? Interesting, isn't it? So, again, I don't think Sac State's going to be going to any of these conferences and contingencies on what certain things happen. Now, the one school, FCS school, I think is going to make the move, and they're going to make the move, I think, next year, and that's Tarleton State. They have been originally linked to the Mountain West. Now they're being linked to Conference USA. And I said this in the previous video, so I'm going to say this again. There is people within Tarleton who are not exactly thrilled with the idea of going to Conference USA. It's not for the fact that both conferences, they're going to have to buy their way in. They go into Conference USA, they have a chance to be an alpha dog off the jump. But you got to deal with Jacksonville State on there. And Tarleton, football-wise, the idea of playing Jacksonville State, playing Liberty, they're kind of getting into this. Problem. The Olympic sports play in the WAC. Utah Tech, and all those schools. The idea of some of the Olympic sports going to Delaware, going to Florida. Florida they can get with. Delaware is a turnoff. Now, I understand you go places. You go to Utah. You go to Utah to play basketball games. What the hell is the big deal? There's a lot of people, and I don't know if you can call it regional bias or whatever, that don't want to go to the Northeast. And Delaware, in case you haven't figured it out, it's in the Northeast. But they're willing to go if they had to. The basketball schools, where do they want to go? They want to go to the Mountain West. They want to go there. You're playing New Mexico. Yeah, you're going to play Wyoming, where it's cold. You're going to be playing in Air Force, where it's cold. I mean, it gets cold in Albuquerque because it's 5,000 feet. But you got Hawaii, you got San Jose State, you got Nevada, you got Vegas. You got Grand Canyon in Arizona. It fits more with what the Olympic sport's in. So it's a battle where they want to go. Conference where they go in and Mountain West. Now, the fact is, Mountain West, because of what's going on, and UNLV and New Mexico possibly leaving, Tarleton was kind of hesitant in going there because there wasn't another brand for them to go against. Because you have Jacksonville State, you have Liberty, you have other ones that are building up. Okay, we can build here with them and build and beat up Sam Houston State while we're in Conference USA. Okay, we can beat Sam Houston up and prove we're the best school, even though they've been in FBS a little bit longer than we have. From that aspect, I get it. But North Dakota State jumping has made the Mountain West a little more intriguing for Tarleton. And it seems like it's leaning towards the Mountain West, picking up Tarleton in 2027. And yes, them buying their way in. A deal similar to North Dakota State's. Which basically, if that is actually true, solves the money problem for the Mountain West until 2032. Because that would solve that situation. Now, one other thing I need to understand for folks, and someone needs to understand this. Yes, the legacy members are guaranteed the seven legacy members are guaranteed their 3.5. That's for this deal. Past 2032, whatever they get is whatever they get. And based on right now, it's looking like the media deal, it's stipulated because you don't really know, because we're kind of dealing with smoke and mirrors with what NIU's getting, with what UTEP's getting. UTEP's like 1.5, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments section. It's basically looks like about $2.5 million per school. Is what the media payout was, $2.5 million. Now, you bring in a North Dakota State into Tarleton, they may bump up to 3-ish, but that's under what they were getting before. There's no guaranteed payouts anymore. There's no lawsuit payouts if there's going to be any. The grant of rights will be expiring. So now that I've set the table for the G5, Conference USA, they're looking to add anybody right now. They'll be looking for somebody to buy their way in. They want the extra money. But McNeese can't afford it. I don't know if South Dakota State can afford it. I don't know if the Montanans can afford it now. 2032, different story. You've got, if you plan on buying your way in and doing stuff 2032, you can do it then. Because I fully believe the final form of the A4 won't be in 2032 or 30 or 31. It'll be in 36. Because all the stuff with the ACC, the AC, and like the Big 12, let's do one other setting of the table here. The Big 12 just got their new media deal a few years ago. It expires 2031. Brett Yormark wants a 5-year extension, which ends in 2036. Big 12 deal ends in 2036. The ACC deal ends in 2036. That's when some mayhem can happen between those two. Could schools jump from the Big 12 to the ACC for no money? ACC to the Big 12 for no money. When that's done, and I've said this before, the only way will the ACC add G5s? Yes, they will. Will they be at full pay? I don't think so. I think this one will be adding schools, and it's probably not going to be Stanford, Cal, and SMU where they're buying their way in, which is going to piss SMU off. I think it's going to be ACC schools coming in at a reduced, schools coming in the ACC at a reduced rate. They may only get 10%. 10% of the ACC media deal, and over the course of 10 to 20 years, becoming full share members. But you have to meet certain metrics, benchmarks, milestones to get there. So that's knowing that. So it's going to be schools that they want that fit the ACC profile. What's the ACC profile? The ACC, everybody says, oh, they need to go after ratings or to get this. No. They want like-minded universities. Could be private, maybe public, but like-minded universities that are higher education. That means top 100, AAU. Not necessarily AAU, but top 100 universities by most metrics, by most studies, or whatever the hell, ranking systems, whatever you want to put it down as. I don't know if they have a specific one. I think it's just a generalization, and probably it's going to be their own internal review of what they feel a top 100 university is. So they're going to make their moves. So what we're going to have here is we're going to do this. Instead of doing it where I did the previous ones, I'm going to go through year by year by year by year by year, but in a period where it's going to be what happens. Okay. Now, the fact is, I think Conference USA won't be adding anybody else. McNeese, maybe. I don't think they're getting Tarleton. I think the Mountain Westers getting there. Now, the problem with the Mountain West with North Dakota State has 10 full members. Tarleton wants to come in. I think they will come in as a full member. They have 10 football members in the Mountain West, 8 full. NIU and North Dakota State are football only. Bringing in Tarleton State as a full member. That's 11 for football. Scheduling sucks. Scheduling sucks. You need a 12th school. It's a possibility also that Tarleton may announce in 2027 they're moving up, but they may not come in till 2028. And they may come in as a pair with UC Davis. UC Davis commits their football program. The stadium may not be finished, but they may be coming in as a pair. Announcing coming in 27. UC Davis announces they're coming in 27. It could be 28, maybe even 29. But they come in as a pair to the Mountain West as full members. Because the Mountain West, and Commissioner Gloria Navarez knows they're losing schools again. And 2 full members replacement, smart move. So, I think that's what's going to happen. Now, we've set the stage for everything 2028 up. 2029, 2030. 2030, the Big Ten media deal ends. Before the Big Ten even has a chance to make their move, Clemson is going to jump to the SEC. Just them. Florida State's going to wait. We don't know if we want to go yet. Clemson says, I don't give a damn you want to go or not, we're going. And SEC says, we have other targets, but we only have so many spots. So somebody better make up their mind or somebody else is going to take the musical chairs is going, and you don't make up your mind soon, the music's going to stop, and you're not going to have a place to sit. Now, with the SEC taking one school, the Big Ten gets to snatch their 2 to go to 20. Now, are they going to get Notre Dame? No. Notre Dame's not going to make the move. Not now. Not 2030. They're not doing it. So, who do they go? The 2 that I said they're going to get. I think Miami's going to issue the 9-figure apology, and Georgia Tech and Miami are going to end up in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten's going to say no more. Well, they need to go to 24 schools. They don't want to add anybody that doesn't add value. Would Utah's being talked to. Would Utah come in at 10% share? 25% share? Because you're not even worthy of a half share. Because you don't have the viewership. You have the academics. You don't have the research budget for them. And you definitely don't have the viewership. And the viewership right now, research helps, but viewership is important. And you're not 2 million views. You're not. Oregon's damn near 3. Actually, they were barely over 2. They will be 3 soon. But anyway, you get my point here. You get my point. So, they're going to add Georgia Tech and Miami. Florida State, well, I guess we'll come to the SEC. You're acting like kids in this whole damn thing. I want to go somewhere. Shut up. I mean, really? And that would have been the whole damn time? I want to go. I want to go. Shut up. But I want to go. Don't make me put you in timeout. Tell me if I'm wrong. Florida State, with the lawsuits and everything, been acting like a damn kid having a tantrum. So, Florida State, guess what? You get your wish. You're in the SEC. Not where you wanted to be in the Big Ten, but you're in a power conference. Now, that's 2030. The ACC has lost 4 schools. 4. Drops them from 17 to 13. Who are they going to add? Nobody right now. Nobody. Because they haven't lost anybody yet. Not enough. So, it's 2030. What's going to happen from there? Let me get my sheet out. What's going to happen from there? Well, the American isn't doing anything. Their deal's up 2032. They're not doing nothing. They're not going to do anything. However, 2032, 2031 rolls around. This is when the dominoes start falling. 2039, before 2030 is when the SEC and the Big Ten will make their first jumps. 2030, not really anything. 2031 is when a lot of this mess is going to be happening. And it's going to be 30-31. Actually, it will be announced in 30. I correct myself. The Mountain West media deal going to be $3 million, less than what it is before. And I've said this before when it comes to realignment. The Pac-12 and the Mountain West were going to get underbid on their media deals, and they were. Because, again, the Pac-12 has no track record together. The Conference of Champions no longer exists. That conference no longer exists. You have the Pac-12. Now, the conference with USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington, Arizona, that conference doesn't exist anymore. There's a reimagined Pac-12. But there's no track record for those schools against each other, just like Texas State, against Texas State being the primary one. Gonzaga. There's no track record. So they're going to underbid you to find out what you do. And then they have 5 years to say, okay, this draws this rating, this does this, this does this. Okay, now we have more numbers, metrics to measure you by, to get an accurate depiction of what you are. We underbid you because we didn't know. Mountain West, same thing. The conference that had a school that went to the CFP and another school that made it to the NCAA championship game. That conference no longer exists. There's a reimagined Mountain West. But again, there's no track record there. Grand Canyon, UC Davis, NIU, UTEP, North Dakota State. There's no track record. So they're a drop down. So their deal's going to underbid. Now, but they're going to get an improvement. But even with that, they're not going to get much money. And the fact is, I think the media partners know schools are leaving. So they're going to probably put them at 3. Because they know they're leaving. That's the danger of having the CW. Because the CW is going to let them know the schools are not happy with the money. What's going to happen? UNLV and New Mexico are both going to bolt the Mountain West for the Pac-12. Now, Air Force is going to want to go because UNLV is leaving. The money's going to be bad. And because that puts them up there. But, well, Mountain West is in trouble of dissolving because they don't have 8 full members. Actually, yes, they do. Remember, they brought in UC Davis and Tarleton. They went from 10 full members back to 8. They're still the conference. They're not going anywhere. Sorry. They're staying put. So, they're not going anywhere. Pac-12, the Mountain West is back at 8. They've got 10 football schools. They went from 10 football schools to 12. Now they're 10 full members, 12 football schools. Now 8 full members, 10 football schools. They're back where they were. Is the Pac-12 going to be adding any basketball schools? I'm not doing any estimations on basketball schools. This is about college football because I'm not that college football guy. I'm not doing basketball. So I don't know about St. Mary's or anybody else or Cal Irvine or whatever. I'm not doing that. Somebody else can do a video on that. But, UNLV and New Mexico make the move. Air Force say, we want to go the American. America says, we haven't lost anybody. Why are we going to add anybody? Sorry, Air Force, we're not interested. Not right now. There's no money for you. You got to stay. We can't afford you. I think the Americans going to tell Air Force no. No matter how bad Army and Navy complain. Going to tell them no. So Air Force is going to stay in the Mountain West. So that could at that point because 2029 Conference USA's media deal's up. Could they, I forgot to mention this, could Conference USA add somebody, a McNeese, right before the deal, 2029? Maybe. But it'd be paying the deal and not paying any money to get in. It'd be possibly a no revenue deal again. I don't know. That may be the new standard for an FCS school coming up. Where you get no money for the first contract. Prove your way in. It's a possibility. I think the door is starting to shut. It's not going to completely shut. Not yet. Not yet. Now, let's go forward a little bit. Let's go to 20. I think anything else, the Conference USA, maybe Sunbelt and anybody, they're not getting hit. Everybody pretty much stays put. That's really the only movement. Now we're getting to 2033. What happens? Well, it's right before the deal. We're getting down to the end of the ACC deal. I think at this point, the rumors are going to start coming around that with Florida State and Clemson and Georgia Tech and Miami gone, the ACC deal is going to drop to probably about 20 to 25 million. I've had ACC fans tell me, we're going to make $50 million. You're not going to make SEC money without SEC brand ratings and branding. And ESPN has the deal. ESPN's pinching pennies with ESPN. They're going to pinch pennies with you. Unless you're going to go completely streaming, which the schools won't allow. They want linear. And they'll take less money for linear. They're going to go to 20, 25 million. Is any schools going to bolt for the Big 12? In this scenario, I'm not counting 2036. 2036 is not in this scenario. Or in any of the ones I'm doing. I'm not predicting 2036 in this one. Other ones I will be going all the way to 2036, but not this one. The Big 12 does not get anybody. They stay in pat at 16. They stay. They're top. They're done. The ACC, all of a sudden, here's where the second wave is. The SEC, here's the fact. Well, we got 2 more spots open, but they're at a half share. You two, you're going to split one. Which 2 went in? North Carolina says, we want to go. And they leave. Now, the legal mumbo jumbo. NC State. Is NC State coming in as a partner? You have to come together. Not necessarily. They don't have to come together. But there has to be an agreement made where they play them every single year. Agreement we reached. And I think they're going to have to pay some Carolina money. Like UCLA had to pay Calimony to Cal. They can pay some Carolina money. And have to pay NC State. But UNC is going to go. 4 spot open. Would the SEC be interested in NC State? They've already got UNC, so the answer is no. Who do they want? Are they going to go on there and says, why are they getting North Carolina? They want to get ratings. They want to get viewership. There's no more schools over 2 million views, dummy. They're all gone. There's none left. There was only 4 schools that had it. 2 are in the SEC, 2 are in the Big Ten. There's nobody else left. There is no viewership metric anymore. So with that gone, what do you go for? I hate using the word, but they're looking at a potential. Because they have one simple metric. If Vanderbilt, with 5'9" Diego Pavia, can get 2 million views in the SEC, what could UNC get if they get the right quarterback? Can you imagine what would have happened if it would have been Drake May? Who he was a North Carolina quarterback? Memory serves correct. That would have been interesting. Belichick gone, nothing but a good quality North Carolina producing the quarterbacks. They doing North Carolina basketball added to the SEC basketball collection. All of a sudden it's like, but you could have come in at a half share. 20 to 25 million SEC deal, be looking at about 60 plus. They made 70 million in revenue. Half share be 35. That's still more than the ACC deal. Bye. So that leaves 1 spot. Are they going to grab somebody from the Big 12? Are they going to grab Kansas? Are they going to grab West Virginia? No. They're looking at the ACC. So there's 2 candidates, Virginia and Virginia Tech. Now, the old guard, they wanted Carolina and Virginia. The old guard, the old donors, they want Carolina and Virginia. Virginia under Tony Elliott's improving in football, battle for an ACC championship. Basketball is a good damn basketball brand. They won a national championship the last few years. They have donors that are behind it. But here's the problem. That is what the donors want. But the SEC is going to SEC. The SEC is going to SEC, and it's going to be, okay, North Carolina is who we want. Everybody else is window dressing. This is the +1. They got North Carolina, they got Clemson, they got Florida State. That makes ESPN happy. Their golden 3 are in the SEC. They're ecstatic. Pick whoever you want. Pick whoever you want. Don't care. We got ours. Pick who you want. Okay. And there's even a possibility, folks, as crazy as this sounds, and yes, this sounds nuts, North Carolina at a full share. I don't buy it. I think they get a half. Or they may do a full share. Who the hell knows? But North Carolina full share, and the Ford School gets a half. And has to work their way up. So it comes down to Virginia and Virginia Tech. I think that's the two candidates they're going to pick from. They're not going after Pitt. They're not going to go after Wake Forest or NC State. They're not touching Miami because they're gone. They're going to go after a school that fits where they want to go. They want to finish the footprint. Because right now, you have no 2 million viewership schools. None. You have no 2 million viewership schools left to meet the benchmark. So now it's just doing everything. The SEC is going to SEC. We added one basketball brand. Now we need a football brand. One more. One more to add to the portfolio. Who fits SEC? Enter Sandman. Blacksburg goes absolutely nuts when that comes on. James Franklin is the head coach, building him back up, possibly contending for the ACC their first year. James Franklin comes back home to the SEC for the first time since he was the head coach of Vandy, and Virginia Tech joins the SEC. Now, SEC's at 20. And I fully believe this whole song and dance is just nothing more than a smokescreen. You're going to have the Big Ten at 20, the SEC at 20, and they're going to work out the scheduling agreement where it's based upon who they play each other, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, against each other all the way down, because more money can be made by both conferences, and this will happen because they're both going to get paid. It'll be a non-con. What about the CFP? I got a video coming out next week about the CFP, but I'm still trying to finalize a few things. That's in the works. But now the ACC has dropped from 13 to 11. 12 is the threshold for this series, this section of the series, and for this video. So they're going to add one. One school. One. Do they go to Florida? They lost Miami. They lost Florida State. Do they grab South Florida, an AAU school? A school that's football programs on the Rhine. Brian Hartline's now the new head coach. Do they bring them in? Do they do what some of the basketball purists want and invite UConn, even though that football stadium does not meet ACC standards? This is 2034. Will they have it done by then? No. I think they're going to pick the one school that has been back channel-wise the number one on the list, that has a football program that wins, that has AAU, that is a top 100 university. Basketball is improving. And we're talking about Tulane. The ACC will grab Tulane and add them to go to 12. How many more the ACC going to grab? No more. 0. They're done. One school, done. Going to grab Tulane. Now the Americans down one school. What do? They're going to scramble. They just got their deal. They got to get a brand back in here. So what are they going to do? The number one candidate. They go snatch James Madison from the Sun Belt. So JMU's gone. Sunbelt's playoff CFP team is gone. Americans just fine plugging right along. Sunbelt, crap. We got to add somebody. Who are we going to go after here? Okay. If they grab Miami of Ohio or Ohio, did they grab the other one at that point? Would they have to grab Ohio to get Miami of Ohio? Answer, no. They don't. They love them have as a pair, but they'd have to lose 2 for it to happen. So, there's also the other possibility of bringing in Liberty. Getting back at Virginia, but you already have Old Dominion in Virginia. So, I think they're going to go and grab Miami of Ohio from the MAC. That adds basketball value, and that's another program that consistently battles for championships. Gets them on there, makes West Virginia happy. It's another state for the Sun Belt. They'll expand out a little bit, helping out their footprint. They do their things. Okay, fine. Now, what does the Mountain West do? Actually, forget the Mountain West. What does the MAC do? MAC just lost. MAC just lost Miami, Ohio. They're down to 11 schools. They want to add one more to get back up. Are they going to add another school? They need to add an Eastern school. Are they going to be looking at adding a Delaware State or Stony Brook or one of these other schools? Possibly could have been the ones on the list. Illinois State is still on the list, but Illinois State got the money to buy their way in. I'd love for the MAC to get Illinois State as a replacement school. Get back in Illinois, get back in the Central Time Zone. But I think the first thing they're going to do, I think they're going to pick an Eastern school, but I think the first thing they're going to do is they're going to have the MAC new media deal. If it's more than Conference USA's deal, if it's more than Conference USA's deal, if it's more, they'll bring in, talk to Delaware and Missouri State to see if they both want to jump to the MAC. That's an East school and a West school in the Central. They'll talk to both of them. See if they're interested. If not, I think they're going to go to Illinois State or possibly talking to New Hampshire has been on the list. And getting a school out east. Ideally, I'd love to see them get Illinois State. I mean, I'd love it personally for me, and what I wrote down here is they actually snatch up Illinois State. Because if they lose the Eastern school, they grab Illinois State. And then they also grab Missouri State and Delaware to get up to 14. And then MAC's done. Now, Conference USA at that point, I think that they're going to respond out. They're going to go after, get McNeese. They're going to talk to Central Arkansas. They may not have required them to buy their way in. Conference USA wanted to get back to 14. I think they'll be happy just being at 12. I think that's what they're going to tell them. You want to bring schools in, bring them to 12, and you're done. And you get paid. Bring them to 12. They lose a couple of schools, I think. Remember, if they lose, I think they're going to be at 12. So now the Mountain West, they want to be at 12 football schools. You have 8 right now, you've lost 2. So who are the first candidates they're going to talk to? Now we're talking 2032-ish when this is happening. Right when their Mountain West media deal is going to end. 2031, 32. I did the SEC part to get that snowball ahead. We're going to backtrack a little bit time-wise. The Montanas. They're going to talk to Montanas and see if they're interested in jumping. And get the Montanas to move up. Are the Montanas willing to make the move? Financially. They love to get them both. If the Montanas say no, what's the plan? The plan is to go get New Mexico State. You lost New Mexico. Even though they're UTEP in there, no matter who they add, it's not going to bump up the media deal, remember? They're going to have to prove it on the field. They'll add New Mexico State to get a school in New Mexico. And they'll add Sacramento State as a football only. Not a full member, football only. Your basketball stays in the Big West. That puts them at 9 full members, 12 for football. So ideally, it's the Montanas from the Mountain West, or it's going to be New Mexico State as a full member to give them one more full member just in case Air Force decides to bolt later on and they have cushion, and then Sacramento State as a football only to the Mountain West. If the Montanas say no. Longer than I planned for this video, but I wanted to explain everything that what's going on. This is a long one, and I apologize for that. But it's what needs to be said. So I've definitely ran my damn mouth a lot. But let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't done it already, do me the favor, smash the like button, hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. Okay. I'm going to try to do a 500-foot overview on this. Tell me when I'm right or wrong. I'm going to basically do a general recap. Big Ten adds Georgia Tech and Miami. SEC adds Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech. ACC with those losses adds Tulane. American adds James Madison. Sunbelt adds Miami of Ohio. MAC adds Illinois State earlier. Delaware and Missouri State. Conference USA is going to add one more Eastern school. I think McNeese and Central Arkansas. Mountain West, the Pac-12 adds UNLV and New Mexico. They will add possibly another school there. It may not be adding a school there. There's possible they may go 8 all the way to 2031 and just do UNLV and New Mexico and be at 10 and be done. That may be where they're going there. In New Mexico. Mountain West, after adding Tarleton and UC Davis as full members, either it's going to be the Montanas or New Mexico State and Sacramento State as a football only. If I missed anything, remind me about it in the comments. But let me know what you think about all this down in the comments. Share the video if you want to. And if you haven't done it already, check out some of the other videos that I've done. If you like them, hey, subscribe to the channel. On the road to 2K, trying to make some magic happen. Note, no fifth down show this weekend, on Monday or this weekend, because there's not enough to justify it. I'm going to put out some shorts on it about some of the stuff that's happened, because doing a video on all of it is basically would take 4 minutes on everything. I'd rather put out some shorts and just do it that way. Next week, next Monday, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, we'll have stuff's going to be going on, as well as I may do a video on Sunday, which I'm really thinking about doing instead of doing the show, doing a regular video on Sunday, and doing that this week. And if you have any scenarios you want me to do, now's the time to bring them in, because the spring rosters are starting to come out. I have those 50 preview and prediction videos to do. Do the math, folks. March is almost here. Kickoff of the season's late August. March, April, May, June, July, part of August. 5.5 months. Which is roughly, what, 22, 23, 24 weeks to do 50 videos? It's at least 2 a week, some weeks 3. Every week to get these done. Yeah, and the fact is, it's not going to be really 24 weeks. It's going to be closer to 20 to 24 weeks. It's going to be closer to 16 to 20. Because I've got to do research when all the spring rosters come out, and I want to have unlike where I did last time, where the ones were done, I did them as they went, and I regretted doing some of the predictions. I'm going to do all of them at once. Do the research on all of them. Because I have the list, it's done. Research on every single one with all the spring rosters, and then based upon looking at everybody, make predictions on schedules. So I got a lot of work to do. So you want to get some scenarios done in this slow time, you better start popping them up now, because there's not going to be much time, because I may sneak one in here and there. The ACC Snowball Series, my scenario series I'm doing, I'm going to be throwing those in with theirs to get this done, to keep that going. But, and a lot of the new stuff that happens during the week, it may all be getting folded down for my opinion pieces on the Fifth Down show, because when I'm doing I won't have time to do the videos in between. I'll just do the notes and save it all for like a 30-minute Fifth Down show, my comments on all the stuff that happened, because I won't have time any other time. Or maybe Short City, who knows. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Again, sorry for running the mouth and sorry for this being so damn long, but it had to be done. I wanted to go through and explain everything. So thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you think about this, the Snowball Series. Be safe out there. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. And please, be good to each other.